Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Rebel War Room. It's Noah here again today, finally back, finally over the worst part of the flu. Still got a little bit of crud left in my body, but able to finally be back just in time for our 1K coming up, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And just got Dalton here with me today. It's an odd day for both Thomas and Chase, so today it's just the two of us, and we're just going to talk about the Orlando tournament that happened the past weekend and what we plan on doing for our upcoming tournament that we have this next weekend. And also, we got some new cards. So, pretty eventful past week, um, and then really excited just to finally play in an actual event that's not a pre-release at this point. So, um, just to start us off, we're going to jump right into the new cards that we've got here, which I believe most of them were from FFG's live stream, and then some were also from just like their Twitter and other socials like that. So the first one we got here is the Pac Sentinel. He's a two cost Vigilance Villainy Underworld. He is a 2/3 with Sentinel. So pretty generic stats here. 2 cost Sentinel. I think that's our first Sentinel.
Yeah,
2 cost.
this is our now cheapest Sentinel.
Which is pretty nice for blue villain, actually.
Yeah. Like if you're, in a blue Palp deck, I think this is a really good card because you do kind of need to stall for a bit, and Palp doesn't really have any early or turn one plays much. So I think this is good for blue Palp. Maybe in the blue Vader deck that's starting to show up, I can see this getting a little bit of play. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Taking an early block against aggro if you're a control deck can actually really help.
Yeah, that extra little bit of, you have to swing into this guy instead of my base. The only thing that makes him a little odd is the 2 power, so like he doesn't trade very effectively, but at the same time he is a Sentinel, so that's like the potential 2 to 3 damage that's off of your base, and instead this guy's just going to take it.
Yeah. So even though he won't kill a lot, I still think he's worth it just because he is going to soak up some damage.
Yeah. So pretty solid. I think he'll be probably really good in draft and sealed.
Yeah.
So overall, I'd say pretty decent card. The next card we have is Follower of the Way. We're finally starting to see more Mandalorian themed stuff. This is a 2 cost, only Vigilance. He is a ground unit, and he's got 1 attack and 3 health. And when this unit is upgraded, he gets +1/+1. So we're starting to see kind of our theme of Mandalorians are going to have a lot of upgrades on them. They want upgrades, and what they can do with those upgrades.
Yeah, I really like this card. It's an early, early drop. It's a 1/3, which, ain't that great, but as soon as it gets a single upgrade on it, it automatically becomes a 2/4 for 2. I think this is actually a pretty good card. Has the Mandalorian tag. I think that's going to be really relevant. It is just blue, so I would honestly kind of like to see like a hero Mandalorian deck and a villain Mandalorian deck. So like maybe our hero leader is, the Armor or the Mandalorian or Bo-Katan. Or our villain leader could either be like, you could go Maul since he did leave Death Watch at one point, or you could go pre-Vizsla. Yeah, and I would just like to see both, a villain and a hero Mandalorian deck, and this guy could fit into either, which I think is cool.
Yeah, now it's just going to be a matter of what upgrades are we getting for this. Like, I know you've mentioned like probably a jetpack, maybe wrist rockets. Just there's all kinds of different stuff.
We get the little whistling birds that the Mandalorian gets. We'll get some generic blasters, I'm sure. we'll get a dark saber.
Yeah, that playmat, like
Yeah.
I hope it just like adds like 5 damage and like no health and like you just gotta like just swing away. That'd be pretty nice.
I think,
So oh, go ahead.
yeah, with the Mandalorian and the mono blue like Chirrut deck that's kind of popping around, I think he's pretty cool in that deck because, turn 1 you do just want to play something, a unit to get down. Turn 2 you usually want to put an upgrade on that unit. So I feel like he fits right into that deck.
Yeah. All right. The next one we have a rare. This is actually a rare card. We have, and I'm probably going to butcher his actual name, Dr. Evazan. He's a ground unit that costs 2. He is Cunning Villainy. He's a 3/3 underworld unit that comes in shielded. And then he's also got a bounty. So whenever he's defeated or captured, your opponent collects this bounty, and they ready up to 12 resources whenever he is defeated.
That's a big
This
setback.
Is one of those where it's like, okay, whenever you first look at it, you're like, this feels bad. But I'm sure there's going to be a way he's going to be played.
Yeah. If you're like just in a yellow villain aggro deck, it's probably pretty good because chances are you're going to get to swing maybe like 2 or 3 times with him. So that's 6 or 9 damage. That's quite a bit of damage in this game. If
but
you can,
to ready up basically all of your resources, like most of the time a game is finished unless it's a control mirror. Like so, even like they defeat this, your opponent readies up 6 resources. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty bad for
I feel like
3/3 with shielded.
If you're a smart player who can play this well, it'll be good. If you can like sit there and swing into something and have them die before your opponent has played anything, or you can wait till your opponent claims to let him die, then he's really good because your opponent's not getting the 12 resources effectively.
Yeah. So it's going to be one of those cards where like if you can play around the timing of like just swinging him into something so he like is defeated early, that'll be fine because then like your opponent doesn't ready anything. But besides that, this is kind of odd for a rare in my book. This feels like an uncommon or a common to me.
I don't know. We'll see.
But I'm sure more
a
cards
3/3 for 2
playable.
that's also got a shield is really good because there's no like early cost removal that can really get rid of them. Like the earliest thing would be takedown,
like
which
Crafty
would be
Smuggler.
Mm-hmm.
Like Crafty Smuggler is a 2/2 with shielded with no downside. So it's like, do you play this over Crafty? Do you just play Crafty?
If you're in an aggro deck, you probably do play this over Crafty.
So,
but
I don't know. It's going to be probably one of those cards that are going to end up finding a place, and is going to be fine.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it.
I think it could be cool in a Palp deck where you can wait till your opponent's claims, use Palp's ability to sacrifice them after you've swung with them.
Yeah.
That way your opponent, has already claimed, so they won't get to ready up.
Or if there's a leader that lets you claim your own bounty or something like that.
I don't think they'll do that. That would be too strong.
The way this is worded, I don't think so, but there could be something like that. So
because they have also clarified, like even if you killed the unit, your opponent still gets the bounty. Yeah.
All right. So the next card we have here is an event, 2-cost heroism. This is the way. It is a Mandalorian card, so that's important to keep in mind because you search the top 8 cards of your deck for up to 2 Mandalorian and or upgrade cards, reveal them, and draw them. And then, of course, you put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. And this is an uncommon. So, theoretically, one of the cards it could search would be another copy of itself. And then, either Sabine's a Mandalorian.
Fangfighter's Mandalorian.
Fangfighter's Mandalorian. Like, we've already got some Mandalorian cards. Or upgrades is also the other main thing. So this fits right into just the Mandalorian deck. Because he's wanting to play upgrades anyway. You're wanting to find your other Mandalorians to be able to play. So, they have a draw engine.
Yeah.
It's just
If
a
you're
matter of
like,
how good are the Mandalorians and upgrade cards going to be.
yeah, and is there ever really a case where you would rather pay two to search for a specific one, or would you rather just use those two resources to play a card that will actually like stick or do something right then?
Yeah,
So I don't know. We'll see, but I
I
like the
feel like,
idea of it that they'll have
yeah,
access to it.
I feel like this will be one of those cards where like if there's a specific upgrade or a specific Mandalorian you're really needing to see, like as a 3-drop or a 4-drop, then I see this being played. But
Yeah,
besides that, like you're probably gonna draw whatever you need. You can mulligan for it.
yeah,
This costs 2. I could only see this being in a heavy upgrade or Mandalorian deck.
yeah. Or if
So
like maybe the Mandos have like a combo piece or something that you kind of need, that that could be why this would see play. But
yeah. For our next card, we've got IG-11. So he is a ground unit, costs 5, and is only aggression. He's a 6/5 droid bounty hunter. If this unit would be captured, defeat him and deal 3 damage to each enemy ground unit instead. On attack, you may deal 3 damage to a damaged ground unit. So, the 6/5 is kind of throwing me off. I wish it was the other way around. Like I understand his
yeah,
aggression. Like you want him to swing. He's kind of not really a glass cannon. Like 5 is still a good amount of health. It's just whenever you think of 5-drops in this game right now, like you think of Bosk, you think of Overwhelming Barrage, and this guy isn't doing anything right away.
yeah, and especially in red because red doesn't really. I don't know what 5-drops does red even have, like Zeb.
Well, most of your ECL targets are going to be either Zeb, K2SO, or the Steadfast Battalion. So it's like, are
Yeah,
you playing this, or are you playing your Steadfast Battalion that's going to swing in for 7 right away?
yeah,
So, um, and if he's captured, then you defeat him, and then you deal 3 to each round. Like
yeah.
that's kind of a specific
That is. If it, I feel
like
like if it was captured or like just defeated, that would make him, well, probably too good to be honest. But
yeah, because then like
you would just heroic
I was
sacrifice,
gonna say I'm thinking of like
wipe their board.
K2SO. Whenever he dies, you deal 2 to everything. Like that's a pretty good ability. Let alone if he just is defeated, you deal 3 to each ground unit. So his on attack trigger is actually very useful.
But the unit already has to be damaged,
Yeah, that's another
and
problem.
like that's
So
like that doesn't happen that often.
yeah,
So
so
I don't know.
like the only thing I can think of is if there's a bounty hunter deck or a droid deck where he
Yeah,
just like if Afro were to make droids cost less or something like that, or if certain bounty hunters got triggers off of like if we get a Jabba leader or whatever bounty hunter leader we end up getting,
yeah. But even then,
then
I feel
maybe he's
like
playable.
would you ever on turn 5 ever play this over Bosk?
No,
And I
and
feel
that's the
like you
thing. You
don't.
just don't. No. So I think he'll be a great card in sealed, just because
Yeah,
like that 5 resource turn, you get a 6/5 with an on attack ability of damaging something.
yeah,
Now that's pretty good. So, um, and then we got this nice little message here from one of the game developers, where he kind of gave us some previews of the subtitles for unique leaders and units in set 2. So obviously we don't know which ones are going to be like leaders, which ones would be just units. We could make some pretty good guesses, but it's nice that they're just throwing some of these bigger spoilers out here of like, hey guys, here's a puzzle, see if you can figure it out. So
yeah. I do really like that.
these subtitles we have offering no escape, muscle for hire, keeping the past, loyal to the end, worth the risk, I trust no one. Boom. This is a rescue. Dealer in truths, ambitious upstart, and that's good business. So it seems like a lot of bounty hunter type of theme going
Yeah,
on.
which they have said in the set. It is very, kind of underworld and smuggling focus. So
Yeah.
naturally, we're just going to get a lot of bounty hunters, I think, in this set. But
So I think one of the ones that we can all kind of agree on is the Boom one.
yeah,
Like we're kind of in agreement that that's probably Wrecker, right?
yeah, I feel like it has to be because we know we're getting Bad Batch to set.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is like their demolition guy. Yeah, he just seems like that would be Wrecker.
Yeah.
A couple more. Let's see. I think
I feel
that's
like one of
good
these is going
business
to be
is
Lando.
Hondo. Maybe
You think that's good business is Hondo?
Hondo. Yeah, I think so.
I can see that.
This is a rescue. I think is another K2SO.
Hmm. Is that something he says in the movie?
Yeah, like whenever they rescue Jen, break her out of the prison, like she tries to run and he like choke slams her. He's like, "Do not resist. We're rescuing you."
I hope he's not a leader.
I don't think they would make him a leader. No,
But it's also like
it
in
is
another
weird.
unit.
Yeah, it would be weird, or maybe it's in a. Well, no, these are units or leaders. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like
Either
based on
one's
that
weird.
phrase, it feels like it would be a K2SO, but still getting a K2SO the set would be weird.
Yeah. Let's see here. See, I don't have enough like movie knowledge and background to like really be like, okay, I know this character said this one time in this one movie or one episode. It's got to be them. Keeping the past, I could see that as being Rey.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was Rey, because Kylo keeps telling her to let go of the past, so
Yeah.
she's
And then
keeping
she
the
carries
past.
on the Jedi way
Yeah.
in those movies.
Offering no escape. That I could see that either being like 4-LOM or Zuckuss.
Muscle for Hire could be that's got to be another bounty hunter.
Yeah. What if it's a
I
Black
think
Chrysanthemum?
see now that could
Maybe.
yeah, that makes sense because big strong Wookiee. Loyal to the end. Is that a clone?
I don't know. It could be. I don't know really like which one it would be though.
Loyal to the end. See, I'm thinking of like a clone that from like the Bad Batch series,
Yeah.
like that just sticks with the Empire.
Yeah, but he's already got his card. Crosshair.
I'm not saying Crosshair. I'm saying like it could be like maybe we get a clone Wolf.
Nah.
Because which I know he has a different story arc in Rebels, but
I wonder if it'd be like maybe a Chewbacca.
it could be or a
he,
general or something. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. It's
Chewbacca's
like
known
loyal
for his
friend.
loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe a Chewbacca.
Worth the risk. I'm thinking
What if
of
it's
someone.
Kira?
It could. I was supposed to say. I'm thinking of someone who's more like a type of like treasure hunter type of character rather than. I'm trying to think of what's her name in the Bad Batch. That.
Fee? Is that her name?
Yeah, I think Fee or Faye or yeah. And then I trust no one. That's probably maybe Cad.
Somebody mentioned like Tobias Beckett in the Solo movie told Han to trust nobody, and then he like, so I could see this being the young Han.
Okay, a young Han.
From that
It's
scene.
got to be some type of like a smuggler or bounty hunter.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if this is either Beckett or if it's the young Han, because like, Beckett tells him one thing you forgot, kid, trust nobody, and then he's like, oh, I was listening, and that's when he like had him faked out. or whatever.
Yeah. And then Dealer
Shot
of
him.
Truths.
That I have no clue what that'll be.
It's not going to be like Watto or...
No.
Could it be Unkar?
But he doesn't really deal in truth.
I know, he's just kind of a bad guy.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know who that'll be.
Yeah, and then the Ambitious Upstart. Don't know either.
I feel like it's got to be some young bounty hunter. What if we get a young Boba, like from the Clone Wars?
That's a good possibility. Just because that would be themed around bounty hunter stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then that's good business. You're thinking that's Hondo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get a Hondo this set. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can see how many we're right on, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, the only one I feel good about is the Boom one being Wrecker.
Yeah, that one I think is definitely the give me.
But besides that, I have no clue. I know there's a bunch of bounty hunters in this, I'm assuming. So,
yeah,
that's just pretty cool to see. All right, so that's going to be it for the spoilers. Overall, it is nice right now. Like we're at the end of April. We're actually seeing quite a few cards.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many. I think it's like probably close to 20 spoiled now.
Probably.
Which to me, the game has been out almost 2 months, and we're already getting this many spoilers for the next set. It's pretty nice to see.
Yeah.
But the next thing we're going to get into is going to be the 5K that was hosted by Pro Play Games. And kind of what in the world happened at the biggest U.S. tournament. I don't think the biggest tournament in the world, but it definitely is for the U.S. at this current state.
Yeah, and it had a lot of hype going into it because there's a bunch of like known good players from other games. From a bunch of Destiny players were going to it.
Yeah,
I know there are a few Flesh and Blood players who are pretty well known that played in it. So, yeah, I think everybody was kind of looking
the crossover.
and see that
other games
people are starting to try this game out and maybe switch over to it or at least play it some. So yeah, I think a lot of people were actually looking forward to this and seeing what would happen when some of these well-known players got their hands on it and could see what they would do.
Yeah, so they did do, I believe it was 8 rounds of Swiss, and then they broke to a top 16. So here is the top 16 breakdown. 4 Boba, 4 Sabine. I believe one of those Sabine was a yellow Sabine. I can't remember if one of the Bobas was a yellow Boba.
I think there was a yellow Boba in there.
Yeah. 3 Vader, 2 were blue Vader, and then 1 was a green Vader. Palpatine was blue Palpatine. Krennic was green Krennic. Luke was green Luke. Leia was I'm assuming red. I'm pretty sure it was. And then Han was a green Han build. So, my main takeaway from this was there was not an item in the top 16.
No items.
No items. And 3 Vaders.
Yeah. I think Vader came out of this tournament being it didn't win it did win the tournament. Yeah. But I think even not looking at if it won or not, it came out kind of the big winner here because it was, I know it had a little bit of hype going into it because KTOD had put out some deck list on it.
So I think in their Discord they had been working, there were several people working on this blue Vader.
Yeah, list. So I think it had some hype going into it, but it really actually showed this deck can perform. Performs well against Boba too, which I think is its main win. Kind of
just listening to Bobby Sapphire speak about it. He was basically going into this, I didn't expect playing green Boba for Vader. He was literally just saying he could not beat that Vader deck. The way his Boba was constructed, it was a matchup nightmare, which is crazy to think of that Boba has an almost auto loss at this point in the meta.
Yeah.
But is also a good sign for this meta since we do still have a couple months till the next set.
Yeah, I think it's, a healthy development. Seeing this heavier control deck come in, it'll kind of, put the Bobas in place. It'll probably make aggro a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see.
I don't remember the top 16 breakdown, but I don't remember if like the blue Vader decks in their brackets saw any aggro. Like I don't remember the breakdown if he just had a clean sweep of like Bobas and other controls in this top 16 or what it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know in the final game it was Boba and Vader.
Yeah. But here was the total breakdown. Obviously, Boba being the most represented deck, Sabine, and again the 15 Vader is kind of it's surprising because I don't know if that many people like knew about this blue Vader list or if a lot of them are green Vader. So
I feel like it was probably mostly blue Vader because it did get quite a bit of hype going in. But yeah, I expect for future tournaments the Vader list to be higher. It might be the number one most played list at quite a few upcoming tournaments.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to one of those, start looking at aggro, I think.
Yeah.
Or just finding ways to counter this more control-y list.
And then of course the winner was I'm sorry. I think his name is pronounced Gui Cohen.
I think so.
Yeah. Which I think he came from Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, he's a Flesh and
over
Blood
to
player.
this game. So that again, that's cool. Got people from other gaming communities coming over to our game and just also seeing success here. So that's kind of nice because it doesn't mean that this game is like Destiny where there's a gimmick and anybody can win based off how you roll. In this game it seems like the best players are just going to win. So and here is the bracket breakdown. So let's see. I know that Mike was on he was on Green Boba. Let's see here. Frank, I believe, was on Yellow Sabine. So, and he looks like he just 2-0'd the Yellow Sabine. Let me double check here. Frank, yep, Yellow Sabine. And then Philip Ritchie was on Luke. So far, he's only had, and then Andrew Cox was also on Green Boba. So he only faced up against one aggro deck on his way, which still that's impressive because the Yellow Sabine list is actually can rush down damage even quicker than the red or the green Sabine. So, and let's just look at that deck list real quick.
Maybe.
So,
you're muted.
Okay, so here was the deck list that he decided to take. Some interesting choices, but after you kind of think about it, you understand why he brought certain cards. So the main one that stuck out to me was the restock, but again, against like the Idens and the other, blue Vaders, that card could actually, completely turn the game around if you've come down to a stalemate and all the Avengers are gone, all the Palpatines are gone, whatever it is. You need another Vigilance. Restock, you can just, put some of those cards you need, those answers you need right back into your hand. So
yeah. It's pretty much a one-of tech for the kind of the control mirror match. It can win you the game if you go on for a while. So, yeah.
Now, I think the all-star of this deck is probably either Entrenched or Lieutenant Jilson. Some of them, because I watched most of this tournament live over the weekend, and whenever Entrenched was played on a leader and then they just didn't play any ground units, it was kind of nasty.
Yeah.
So, and then Childson, of course, even revealing just 2 Vigilance cards and making him a 4/4 on that turn 4 against aggro decks is pretty good.
Yeah.
Let alone if, they've held their hand or even if the turn before they play I'm Your Father and their opponent let them draw 3, he could be easily a 4/4, 5/5, 6/6. So, and if you can play 2 back-to-back, most of the time aggro doesn't really have an answer for that second or third one. So, this deck overall seems like it has an answer for everything.
Yeah. It's got some early removal, Force Choke. Entrenched, honestly, pretty much serves as removal. It's got the Death Star Stormtroopers and the Probe Droids for aggro or for even Boba. Where they can,
early game.
Yes. Early game, knock out some units. I think Make an Opening is also one of those cards that sometimes gets underrated, and especially, I know they were talking against Boba, it is probably your MVP because Crafty Smuggler just auto kills.
It just kills it, and then you heal 2.
Yep.
Let's see here. The sideboard options, the repair, pretty standard. We were wanting to heal Devotion. Devotion played on something like Inferno 4 or even the Viper Probe Droid is pretty gnarly. The Vader Saber, I'm assuming that it basically counts as an extra removal card for him on that Vader flip turn, and then Vader's also smacking for a bunch.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm unsure on when you would side in the Vader Saber. Like, to me, it just feels like you're going to have better cards you can play that Vader flip turn. Like, I get it. It does also buff Vader. So it'll,
I mean,
help
you
you
could take
end the
out
game
Restock
sooner.
and Force
but-
Lightning. So, yeah. And then the Search Your Feelings card. I could almost see that being put into the main, actually, for this deck. Like the one of he's running.
Yeah, I could see the argument for it. It, against certain decks, it would just add you an extra.
In the
if
mirror,
you're
you
needing
can
your
go ahead and
board
make
wipe,
sure. Yeah.
or if you're needing your
Avenger.
Vigilance to heal, or your Avenger to go ahead and set up, it can be pretty good. Bombing Run,
so,
I really like.
Just an extra
aggro,
lower cost board wipe.
Yeah, against aggro, it's really good.
So,
not sure what that last card is.
I believe that's the one that makes an opponent discard down to 2 in their hand.
Is it? I thought. Yeah, I bet it is.
Which is also
a
pretty good move against the other control decks.
Yeah.
So, that we have a new king of the swamp here. We got Blue Vader running around now, which is, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I'm glad there's a new deck, but it's control. So
yeah, but that just means aggro. Well, we're gonna enter this place where it's, we're gonna go in circles.
Yeah.
Do you play? If you're going to a tournament, do you play the Vader deck or do you play what can beat the Vader deck? It's
just gonna keep going around until basically it's gonna be kind of figure out your locals, and prepare for it that way, because and then larger tournaments are gonna be they're a whole different ballgame. But right
Yeah.
now it seems like there's a lot of 1Ks going on. Obviously, this 5K um, to give us some good data on like what to expect at some of these tournaments, what we should possibly be playing, and what should we be avoiding. Um, and one last thing, so there were 143 players. That's massive. Um, but from my understanding of like just keeping up with the Discord and stuff, over the past weekend during this tournament, they used best coast pairings, and it did not have a good way to handle ties.
Yeah, I think something
So
happened and a bunch of the control decks kind of got
they got matched up
punished
against
that
each
way.
other in round
Yeah.
two. So
And
like, I'm wondering if, because let's see here, if we look again, there were 15 Aden and none made the cut. So
yeah.
like did all the Adens just get unlucky in that little matchup thing? I'm assuming that's probably what happened, or is Aden kind of just fallen to the wayside now? I personally think she's still good.
Yeah.
If you're going to play red blue, though, I think Vader is probably the better option. But if you're going to play like blue green, like where it's Aden or Krennic, I think there's a good case for either one of them.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it does kind of just depend on where the meta's at that point, too. Because, there for a while, everybody was pretty much teching to where you could instantly kill the Aden with like a takedown or with, I can't remember that unit, but
rogue operative.
yeah. And so Aden kind of fell to the wayside a bit there. Aden also does a lot better against aggro, where you are healing a little bit and you kind of need units to kill for her. So if other control decks are doing well in the meta, Aden's at a disadvantage there as the control deck.
Yeah, because everything else is just using removal cards, events to handle the board, whereas Aden focused a lot on the units rather.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, like now, just talking about just after seeing this breakdown, seeing how this tournament went, just thinking about like, okay, we literally have a 1K next weekend.
Yeah.
In my mind, like just not even knowing, what that local scene is like, because it is a 2-hour drive away from us. Not knowing like any players that are going to be there or what decks they are likely to bring. I'm strongly believing right now that Green Sabine is in a prime spot to just win anything. Just because I feel like Green Sabine, I feel like the worst matchup is Boba. These like Blue Vader, Blue Palps, even like the Aden and Krennic decks, I think they still have a fine matchup into. And like the different list I've been seeing with Green Sabine is there have been some major adjustments to deal with Boba to make the matchup a little bit better. Like it's obviously still probably the worst matchup for Sabine, but like adding Bright Hope in to deal with the fire spray. Some decks are even putting in R2 to be like, are you going to deal with this guy? No? Okay. What if I wing leader him? Now how do you deal with him?
Yeah.
And just like little stuff like that. Like I'm taking Green Sabine, which kind of makes me feel yucky because I don't like in most card games I don't play like the top 1 or 2 decks, but after I switched from yellow to green, I don't think I can go back to playing yellow. It's just too good. So
yeah. In yellow, it does feel faster at times, which is better against control. But you have a worse Boba matchup probably.
Well, if you miss a surprise strike too, or even a fleet lieutenant, and your math is good, then your math is just going to be short.
Yeah.
So it's whereas you're always playing something with Green Sabine, you've always got some type of not bomb in hand, but you always have just something good to play. So now, is Green Sabine beatable? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in my mind, with my play style that I'm enjoying right now, I think that's my obvious take to the 1K we're playing in next weekend.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's fair. Right now, I'm leaning towards Krennic. There was one Krennic in the top 16. I've looked at it, made some adjustments to it that I like. Still got to work on my sideboard some. But yeah, I just enjoy it. You still have green, so you can ramp.
ECL
Which I
and just
think,
something.
yeah, you can ECL in Steadfast Battalion. Gideon Hask ain't bad to ECL in too if you can swing with him and put a counter on your Krennic or one of your other units. Yeah, I just really enjoy the deck. Having Krennic with the Restore 2, pretty good against aggro right now and he's a big body, so aggro is going to really struggle to kill him quickly. So you might get to heal 4 or 6 depending on the board state at that time. So I think that can really.
Also, if you put a devotion on him.
Yeah, I ain't playing devotion right now.
+1/+1 and restore 4.
I mean, it would be good, but is
option?
devotion 2 blue
It's just
though?
blue. No, it's just blue. You're thinking of the one that gives something Sentinel.
Oh, okay.
Devotion just costs 2. It's blue. Gives it +1/+1 and a restore 2.
Yeah.
So
not bad, but I don't know.
Maybe sideboard.
We'll see. Yeah, it is potentially a sideboard option. Yeah, because I've still got to figure out my sideboard. I'm leaning towards don't have all the Avengers right now. I've just got one, so I'm just gonna roll with one. I've thrown in a Relentless in my main deck. Probably gonna add at least one, maybe even 2 more in the sideboard. Just because I think in that control matchup, like against Vader, putting down that Relentless is really good, especially since you have Super Laser Tech and Resupply. So you can most likely get out your Relentless before they have a chance to wipe the board.
Yeah.
So that can just kind of win you the game if you get to that point. Because then they won't be able to remove your Relentless easily or wipe your board if you've already got other units still out in play. So they're going to struggle to kind of come back there if you can get a few pieces of ramp and find your Relentless in time.
Yeah, does Relentless cost 8 or 9?
I can't remember if he's 8 or 9, but either way, like, since you have ramp, you're gonna chances are you're gonna have it before
in the control mirror, because then they just have an event they have to burn at that point.
Yeah.
In order just to deal with it. And you're getting it out before their Avenger, so you'd have time to play another unit to sack to the Avenger before Relentless Avenger is played. So.
Yeah. I'm really liking the deck right now. Yeah, Relentless is a 9 cost. But if you just ramp
you
twice.
Get it out at 7.
Yeah. If you ramp twice, you'll get it out before they have a chance to wipe the board. And if you can do that to prevent them from wiping the board, I feel like you just can kind of run away and win.
Yeah, just swing a couple times with Relentless at that point, and you got the game pretty much locked down.
Yeah.
So, but that is what we're going to be. I think there's going to be probably 8 or 9 of us. This past week, I know you haven't been able to come in because of all the finals and stuff you've had going on, but we've finally reached the grind sessions that I have missed from the Destiny days. We haven't had any of those stay up till 2 a.m. sessions yet because it's been all weekdays and everybody's had to go to work the next morning. But last week it was pretty consistent. Meet up at 6, go home at 10. So just 4 hours of just jamming out games. So I don't know. I feel pretty good about one of us going pretty far in this 1K we're going to. Not sure who it's going to be. I'm sure you wish you had more reps
Yeah.
Just
I'm
in
not going to have
general.
many reps in before this.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. Nothing. Life's
Eli
happening.
Eli's been jamming out a lot of games right now. Chase, I think, only came out maybe once or twice last week, but I think he's planning on coming out more this week. So, yeah, it's grind time, and
Yeah.
it's just can't
Hopefully it
wait for
gets
the
enough
actual.
players to actually launch because they've got to have
They need
32.
32.
Yeah. Which I'm
Um,
assuming they'll hit that because they'll get some Lexington players over because it's just an hour and a half, 2 hours.
yeah,
You'll get Louisville players.
I'm sure they have their own player base there
Yeah.
of at least I'm thinking they have to have at least 10 to even advertise this.
Yeah, you would think so.
So
So I imagine it'll launch, no problem.
yeah,
And there are a bunch of other, like I've seen some 4Ks happening next weekend too, and some other 1Ks. So next weekend, I think there'll be a lot of tournaments. May the 4th weekend, everybody's going to try and do a Star Wars tournament.
yeah.
So I'm interested to see kind of just what happens, and if it is like fairly consistent across the regions and stuff, or if it's like each region is kind of different in its own
Of like,
player
hey,
base. Yeah.
in Kentucky, there's a lot of Sabine just running around right now. Or,
Yeah.
hey, over there on the West Coast in like California and Oregon and those places, that's where a lot of control is happening. And then Boba's over on the East Coast. Like, I don't know if it's going to be stuff like that or if it's just going to be straight up like, okay,
Everybody's kind of on Blue Vader since it's done really well.
I don't think
I
that'll
don't
be the
know.
case. I could see like at R1K like maybe one or two people show up with it just because they were like, oh, it just won the
I
last
feel like
big
it'll be
tournament.
more than one or two. I still
Well,
feel like,
also got to think about the price of the cards now.
yeah,
It's
but
not easy to build everything now.
yeah,
So
but it's just as expensive as the Vader deck, or not the Vader deck, the Boba deck. So maybe
yeah,
even
but
cheaper still.
most people already had their Bobas as soon as they figured out it was the best deck. So it's like, and if you have, I don't know, it's gonna be weird. I don't know what to see a lot of. I could actually see like Sabine being the most played deck there next week.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, but I do still think, I think the top three will definitely be Sabine, Vader, and Boba.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this is I like. We're going to a 1K kind of a month after the game's release. Get us a good head start going into store champ season, and we're finally playing in some tournaments.
Yeah.
I think this is what I've missed about like Destiny, and like COVID just kind of shut everything down. So it's nice to we're dedicated to a card game and we're just going all out, and now we've got stuff to play for. So
Yeah.
But that's enough rambling on. Thank you guys again for tuning into this episode of the Rebel War Room podcast. We'll get you guys updated after this coming up weekend on how the 1K went. Hopefully one of us at least makes the top. In my mind, that's a success. One of us making like the top cut.
Top four or something. I don't know how many people would be there, but
yeah, but at least seeing one of our crew getting into the top cut would be nice. Getting some type of prize, some cash, would be just an overall success for all of us. So that's what we're hoping for. And next time you see us, hopefully one of us will be on here talking about how we did, what we played against, and what we won. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
See y'all.